If you're launching an associate and you run the same ads with the same budget, you're about to learn a painful lesson. Ads don't forgive bad maths. Early on, associates convert lower, they retain less, and that changes everything. The acquisition cost goes up, the payback times take longer, and the lifetime value of those patients drops. So, if you want this associate launch to be successful, you need two systems: a communication system so that they can convert these people, and an economic system so that the ads stay profitable while they're learning. So, before I get into this, who am I? What am I about? My name's Angus. I am a chiropractor as well. My job was to take on associates and get them to 100 visits as fast as I possibly could. We did that with over 30 associates all over Australia. Now I work with practices to do it all over the world. And look, if you've got an associate coming on board, congratulations, that's really exciting. But before you just scale these ads, the associate needs to prove that they can speak clearly, build trust fast, explain the root cause the same way you do, plus the next steps. They also need to hold the attention on camera so that they can show they know what they're talking about online and in the room. This isn't content just for fun. This is pretty much conversion training in a public scenario. It's as close to in clinic, in practice with a patient as you can get. So that is the first step in the 7-step launching your associate plan. It's getting your associate comfortable talking about what you do. Get them online on social media for 30 days, posting every single day. They can post like not on the weekend, so it might be more than 30 days. But the idea is you get your new patient consult, your report of findings consult, you break that into 30 parts, and they talk about that on camera. That gives them the confidence and the reps to start actually getting clear on how they're communicating your message. That's step one. Step two then is to use old money before you use new money. Before you buy cold attention, monetize the attention you already know. Fill the early calendar with warm trust so that the associate gets the reps and the early wins, which shortens the training curve and protects the profitability. What I'm talking about here is reactivate your database. If you have a list of emails or SMSs, doing one introduction email is good. Doing 10 is even better. Use the list you already have because you don't have to pay for that again. Maybe you pay the couple of cents for the SMS. Use old money first before you try and scale with ads or cold attention. Then continuing on the theme of using old money, do your lead list. So if you have run Facebook ads in the past, you will have a list of patients who never took your offer up. I'm going to say that can be upwards of 50, 60% sometimes. So for example, if you had 100 leads, 40 of them may have booked in, you have 60 people there that you have their details that you could contact them. Just sending them a text message. Hey, we're welcoming Dr. X. You reached out earlier for this problem. Are you still interested? An SMS that short can make all the difference. But again, you're leveraging this system of old money first before going out and spending more on new leads. So these two stages here are huge, and they're ignored because the conversion rate is going to be higher than it is with cold traffic, meaning the cost to get the new patients is much lower, almost free. It's the cost of a couple of SMSs and emails. It gives the associate a runway without forcing a high ad spend. You don't have to stress out about the profitability on these because pretty much anyone that comes through one of these channels is basically a free new patient for that associate. So this stage is huge because the conversion is higher than cold traffic. People already know who you are. So the cost per book consult is lower, which is good. It's like free money. It gives the associate the runway without like forcing the pressure of a high ad spend. So as the owner, you don't want to be paying all this money with a cost of acquisition that's like $200 that doesn't even result in a new patient. Using these two systems helps you do it for free initially so that you can support your level 1 ads with another activity of marketing. Now, you might notice there's a couple of new lines on the board. It's because my memory card just ran out and I did the rest of the presentation without knowing that the memory card was full. So I've just undone it and we're going to move into stage 4. So stage 4 is where ads become real. They actually start to become something that the associate's going to help out with. At this stage, you might be making your own ads or running your own ads by yourself. We are not suggesting that you go and change all of that just yet. We're going to do practice creating ads. So creating an ad library. A real ad library is not just random make some videos. It is proven systems to prove that they can make videos that are actually going to perform. So to start off with, they have already been posting, just trying to get the reps in and get used to making videos in front of camera. When you make a video for an ad, it's more important that the quality is even better because you're paying for people to see that video. So think of these now as the reps. Once they've gotten through 30, guess what? They're going to do another 30. This is a part of their job now. They need to be constantly showing up so that they can get good enough to back up the advertising with their face on the practice as well. So to do this, there's two ways. The first way is you go out and you find performing videos. So go on Instagram and find some videos from other chiropractors that are performing really well. Take those, input the chiropractic principles inside of it, and then put a call to action for a new patient booking at the end. The other way that you can do this is you can join our premium group, and we do 5 ads per month. We show you exactly what to do, get the script, make a chiropractic, put the call to action, and you can go and make those ads for yourself. Your associate should just get in the habit of, if you're making ads, they should be making the ads as well until they get to the point that they're good enough that they can run an ad themselves. At that point, that's when you can move to stage 5, which is you've now made the most of your old money, the money you've already invested in the business, and now you can recycle some of that. You've now proven that they can make a good ad. They can use B-roll in their actual content. So I would suggest 2 B-roll walkthrough footage of patients every single month. Now, start off with CAs with you, friends and family. Obviously, don't use new patients ever until they have their own patients that they can start to film. The idea here is proof. They're actually showing, so once they're getting the system nailed, they're proving that they're running the system, basically. Now, when you move into actually running an ad, we recommend, I'm not sure where your clinic's up to if you are running ads, but we recommend a full-scaled ad would be $60 per day to start off with. So that might be your budget if you're running ads at the start by yourself. So what we wouldn't recommend is just doubling that and putting the associate for the associate, because we don't know how any of the numbers work just yet. So if you are going to run an ad, do 1/3 ad spend on whatever you're spending at the moment to test. Okay. Because the last thing you want to do is double that budget, have no change to the acquisition cost. That all goes through the roof. Your expenses go up. Your profitability comes down because the associate's not getting as good of a conversion rate, their retention, we don't know what it is. You've just spent all this money and you've got no result. That's the last thing you want to do. So step 5, turn the ad on. If you can use their ad, great. At the start, they might make 5 to 15 and they're all crap. That's fine. The 16th one might be good enough to put into the rotation. But what you're doing is you're building in increments. Do 30%. So in this scenario, $20 AUD daily, that's yours, that's theirs. That's how I would begin to increase the scale on the ads. All right, and then we move into data. So most of you are going to probably stop watching the video at this point. This is where 95% of people fail. They go wrong because they think their numbers are reflected the exact same as the associate. They are not, okay? So there's 3 numbers you need to get really familiar with if you're advertising. First one, cost of acquisition, client acquisition cost. Second one, 30-day cash. And the third one is the lifetime value. PVA is the other word for that. So cost of acquisition is how much it costs to get someone to start care. That is by your definition. So if someone prepays and maps, that's the cost of acquisition is at that point, okay? So to figure out your cost of acquisition, you go lead, new patient booking, report of findings, start care. So at that start care, you divide the total marketing expenses by how many people started care per month. That'll give you a cost of acquisition. Cool. That should be, if your system's running, so you've got good ads, you've got an ad strategy, you've got good phone calls, good follow-up and nurture sequences, your cost of acquisition should sort of sit pretty not bad, okay? Because you can get that part right before the associate has anything to do with it. The only thing that might affect it is the ads that they make. If they're not as good, they might not perform as well. But if yours are good, they should be able to fix that cost of acquisition. Then the next thing is the 30-day cash. So most clinics, because the associate's working for you, they're going to recommend the same care. So let's just use 8 visits in the first month because it's a 30-day period. So for the first 4 weeks, twice a week for 4 weeks, as the example, we're going to say $100 visits and the new patient cost is $50. So in the first month, you're going to make $850. I'll pop that over here. Cool. That is your 30-day cash. Now, the figure you need to be aware of is the client acquisition cost should be 1/3 of what that 30-day cash is. Should be less than 1/3, okay? So in this scenario, let's just call it 900 so I can do my maths a lot faster. This should be no more than $300. If it's less than 1/3, you'll feel like you're spending money on marketing and not making anything back. And it's because 1/3 goes into marketing, 1/3 goes into the next month's marketing, and then you don't get to put any in your bank. So that's what the third, sort of where the rule comes from. Cool. So that's the first two numbers. The first thing you need to check if your client acquisition cost is okay, because you're going to control that, you need to make sure that the 30-day cash is the same between you and the associate. If your associate's recommending 8, great. If they're not getting them to 8, problem. Okay, so you need to make sure and test first that they can actually get through that period. So that is why we do the first third. Okay, so you get some leads coming in, you're checking their data to make sure that they're actually getting the 30-day cash that you need to run your freaking business. And then you can decide on if you're going to add more budget or not. So in this scenario, you've made the most of warm, like already paid for money. Then you start to get them good at making ads to help with that cost of acquisition. You then add a third budget, test their 30-day cash. They pass, they get people past the 8 visits. Awesome. Let's add another third then. So this is where I hate this word, but the word scale comes in, where we might go, okay, well, that's working. Let's go to $40. Test, because now that's probably been running for a month. Second month, you're at $40. You now got 60 days worth of data. And what that starts to tell us is the lifetime value. What is their actual retention? What's their PVA? What's the longer term play for these guys? Are they getting what you need to get? So PVA and lifetime value is extremely difficult for a chiropractor to know. You could just be super conservative and answer this question. If someone started care with you, how confidently, how many visits are they going to do? And just be conservative. So you might say 15. That's fine. Some chiros say their PVA is 50. I can pretty confidently say if I said every single person who starts, actually starts, do they get to 50? No. What's the number? Okay, make that your lifetime value and work backwards from that. So you might have a figure. You're not going to know what the associate's figure is because they're new, but don't use your figure and assume that the associate's is the same. That's the mistake. So what you do is you increase 1/3, you run it for another 30-day period. Your lifetime value, let's say it's 20 visits, so it's $2,000. That's the lifetime value. Awesome. So you're trying to see if they get the same lifetime value. That's pretty much the whole point of this. Now, the reason this is important is for yourself as well, is your lifetime value should be 1/10, it should be 10 times your cost of acquisition. So there's two ways you can fix that. You can increase your lifetime value, which I know is not the way to do it because you're not just going to start adding more care. What you need to do is try and bring the cost of acquisition down. Okay. So if it's $2,000 in this scenario, a $300 cost of acquisition isn't actually a 10th. It's like an 8th or a 7th, somewhere in there. So what your job would be is okay, how do we bring that cost of acquisition down? Or, we get 12 visits, but we're actually recommending 20. How do we get to 20? That's the two ways to do it. So what you're testing is at this stage, it's like a longer term play. So first 30 days, make sure it's a 1/3. Awesome. Now you want to get even more profitable. Make it 1/10 of the lifetime value with what you're super conservative and confident that you get done. Make sure the associate can do it as well. Now that you're getting more data, does it look like they're going on the right track? Then you can bump them up again if all is good. And you basically just duplicated yourself. Now, obviously, you're getting a percentage of what they're doing. So the profitability on what you do compared to what they do is very different. That's why you keep the numbers separate. You don't blend them together because if you do, it'll stuff it all up. So you need to keep those separate and run them as two entities because that's what you are. So that's essentially the 7 steps that we would move through. So the difference here is most owners are coming straight into this part. They're ignoring that third and they're just doubling their ad spend. And it's like paying for all this new money. You don't even know if the associate can do the job yet. So you're wasting a lot of money. It's like 3, 6 months, 12 months sometimes, if they're not a good fit. You're just pouring double the marketing budget in and not getting the result. So the difference is instead of doing that, get them good at what they do. And I'll be honest, a lot of people do have good training, so that's a good thing. Use old money first before you invest anything. Get them good at making ads so they can contribute to that. Get a small budget, a third going, test the CAC, make sure it's the same, test the 30-day, make sure it's the same, then increase the budget if it is, test the lifetime value. If it's looking good, then you can go all the way to a full full budget. So overall, the goal here isn't to get an associate who just sees patients. The goal is to get an associate who can actually communicate online. They can convert in clinic. They understand these numbers. Like, how nice is that? And then they can actually contribute to the ad engine. They actually make ads. They communicate with people. That's essentially how you stop hiring people and start building growth off of the benchmark that you're already at. Too many clinics just bring someone in and they actually deduct from themselves to try and add to the associate. And it's like more work for less. That's the strain when you just think doubling ads is going to fix your problem. So there's a few things you can do after this if you're interested in learning more. The first thing is you can work out your own numbers. So we have an audit. I'll link it below. You just put in 6 or 7 figures. It will spit back an equation and you'll at least have a good idea of what's going on and what the problems might be before you bring the associate on. If you've already got them, then you can at least get the numbers. Second thing you can do then is, okay, well, the ads. What are your ads doing? If these numbers aren't looking too good, how do you improve your cost of acquisition? You make better ads. So we have premium access in our school group where you can get our 5 ad scripts that we create every single month and you can make them yourself. So that's one option. If you don't have time to do that and you want the editing and the ads run for you, we can do that for you on a VIP service. We call it 28-day ad reset. I'll link the link down below. Basically, you come in, you film the 5 ads, your associate can film a couple of them if they're good at that point where they're good at it. And then we run them for you. We get the new patients in the door. Basically, instead of you having to do that labor, we do it for you. It's just a service. On the back of that, we also teach reactivations, lead list reactivations, the entire system beyond the ads, because running one ad is not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve a problem for you as an owner by yourself either. You need an actual marketing system. All the information will be linked below. If you want any more, you can always just contact me on School. There's a DM feature. I'll respond within 24 hours most of the time. But congratulations on getting an associate. It's exciting. Just don't stuff it up.